Rare coin collecting. Discover real value and history in every coin.
Most people ignore the coins sitting in their drawers, but a few of them hide stories that could change how you see American money forever. The Susan B. Anthony dollar, the Kennedy half dollar, and the Sacagawea dollar aren't just ordinary coins. They represent bold experiments, powerful history, and mistakes worth real money. Some of these pieces, struck with rare mint errors or kept untouched for decades, have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So before you spend that coin, take a close look. You might be holding a piece of American history worth far more than its face value. Stay tuned, because what you're about to see could make you check every coin you own.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into a fascinating modern coin, the 2000p Sacagawea dollar. This coin is not only a milestone in U.S. coinage, but also hides some rare and valuable varieties that many collectors overlook. Some examples of this coin have sold for thousands of dollars. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes them so special and how to identify the valuable ones in your collection. Let's get started. The 2000p Sacagawea dollar was minted in Philadelphia as part of the U.S. Mint's New Dollar Coin program, launched to replace the Susan B. Anthony dollar. It was meant to circulate widely, but that never really happened. People loved the design but preferred using paper money instead of dollar coins. The design was created by artist Glenna Goodacre. The obverse features Sacagawea, the young Shoshone woman who guided Lewis and Clark on their expedition from 1804 to 1806. She is shown carrying her infant son, Jean-Baptiste, on her back. The image symbolizes courage, motherhood, and guidance. The reverse side shows a soaring eagle surrounded by 17 stars, representing the states at the time of the Lewis and Clark expedition. The coin is made from a manganese brass composition, giving it that golden color. However, it contains no gold. It's a copper core with a mix of zinc, manganese, and nickel coating. It weighs 8.1 grams and has a diameter of 26.5 millimeters. Now let's talk about rarity. The standard 2000p Sacagawea dollar is common, with over 767 million minted. But the value comes from certain varieties and errors that occurred during production. One of the most famous is the 2000p Cheerios dollar. This special version was distributed in 2000 as part of a Cheerios cereal promotion to introduce the new dollar coin. Only about 5,500 of these were included in cereal boxes. At first glance, the Cheerios dollar looks identical to the regular 2000p issue. But under magnification, the tail feathers on the eagle are different. The Cheerios version shows enhanced and detailed feather lines, while the regular version has smoother, less detailed feathers. That design difference makes the Cheerios dollar extremely valuable. In pristine condition, it can sell for $5,000 to $7,000, and some examples have reached over $10,000 in auctions. Another valuable type is the 2000p Sacagawea dollar struck on the wrong planche. Some were accidentally struck on a Susan B. Anthony dollar planche or a foreign coin planche, leading to unique weight and color differences. These errors can bring thousands depending on condition. Collectors also search for proof-like examples that were not meant for circulation, but somehow escaped from mint sets. These coins show mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. In uncirculated grade MS-68 or higher, a regular 2000p can bring between $100 and $250. But remember, only a few examples reach that quality. Condition plays a major role in value. In circulated condition, a regular 2000p Sacagawea dollar is worth face value, $1. In uncirculated condition, it may reach $2 to $5. But if you find one with a special error, a proof-like finish, or the Cheerios variety, you could be holding a coin worth thousands. When collecting Sacagawea dollars, always check the details. Use a magnifier to look at the tail feathers, edges, and mint mark. Keep your coins in protective holders or capsules to avoid scratches, because the golden finish can fade easily. Handle them by the edges and avoid touching the faces of the coin. This coin also marked the beginning of a long series. After 2000, the U.S. Mint continued producing Sacagawea dollars with different reverse designs under the Native American Dollar Program, starting in 2009. The 2000p remains special as the first issue in this long-running series. The story of Sacagawea herself adds meaning. She was a guide and interpreter who played a crucial role in the success of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Featuring her on the coin was a way to honor Native American history in the contributions of women in U.S. heritage. Next up, let's discuss the collector appeal. Even though billions of Sacagawea dollars were made, collectors love the 2000p for being the starting point of the series. Many create sets beginning with this year, others hunt for high-grade mint state coins or rare promotional versions like the Cheerios dollar. If you want to build a complete set, start with a 2000p and 2000D, then expand into later years. Look for coins in mint state grades certified by PCGS or NGC. These grading companies can confirm authenticity and condition, which helps increase your coin's value and trust if you decide to sell later. One more tip. The 2000p Sacagawea dollar is known for its weak strikes and die wear, especially around the face and lettering. If you find one with sharp details, clean surfaces, and strong luster, keep it safe. High-quality strikes are always in demand.
It might look like a regular dollar coin, but the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar is one of the most misunderstood, debated, and collectible pieces of modern American coinage. A coin that once failed miserably in circulation, but later rose to fame as a numismatic icon. Some examples of this coin have sold for over $12,000, proving that even one of the most criticized coins in U.S. history can turn into a hidden treasure if you know what to look for. The story begins in the late 1970s, when the U.S. Mint decided to replace the Eisenhower dollar, a large, heavy coin that Americans rarely used, with something smaller, lighter, and easier to carry. Congress approved the new design, and for the first time in U.S. history, a real woman, not a symbolic figure like Liberty, would appear on a circulating coin. The honor went to Susan B. Anthony, the fearless leader of the women's suffrage movement, who fought her entire life for equality and the right to vote. The idea was bold, historic, and deeply symbolic. But the execution? That's where things went wrong. When the coin debuted in 1979, people were instantly confused. It was nearly the same size and color as the quarter, only slightly larger, and in vending machines or pockets, they were often mistaken for each other. Americans simply didn't want to use it, and businesses didn't want to deal with the confusion. What was meant to be a proud milestone for equality instead became a public embarrassment for the mint. But here's where the collector's world took a sharp turn. While millions of Susan B. Anthony dollars sat unused in bank vaults, a few varieties and minting errors began to emerge. And that's where the value story begins. The most famous of these is the 1979 P-wide rim, also known as the near-date variety. On this coin, the date is positioned closer to the edge than usual, creating a thicker rim. It's easy to spot once you know what to look for, and collectors hunt for it relentlessly. A regular 1979 P narrow rim dollar might only be worth $1 or $2, but a pristine wide rim example can sell for hundreds, and in top mint state condition, well over 1,000. Another star of the series is the proof strike from the San Francisco Mint. Look for the tiny S under the portrait. Proof coins were specially made for collectors, struck multiple times with polished dies to give them a mirror-like finish. Within this group lies an even rarer gem, the Type 2 proof, where the mint mark is sharply defined rather than blob-like. These proof Type 2 coins are highly sought after and can sell for over $4,000 in perfect PR70 condition. Then there's the hunt for errors. The Susan B. Anthony dollar series features some remarkable minting blunders, off-center strikes, double strikes, or dramatic die clashes where the outlines of the eagle from the reverse appear faintly on Susan's face. These are not just minor curiosities. Depending on how clear and unusual the error is, prices can skyrocket into the thousands. Collectors also chase superb condition pieces, coins graded MS67 or higher, because even small contact marks can ruin the value. The luster, strike sharpness, and clarity of the details around Susan's portrait and the eagle on the reverse make or break the price. High-end examples with brilliant, uncirculated surfaces have been auctioned for over $12,000. Astonishing for a coin many Americans once refused to use. Beyond the price tags, though, the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar carries deep symbolic weight. It was the first U.S. coin to honor a real woman, paving the way for later designs like the Sacagawea and American Innovation dollars. It marked a cultural shift, a recognition of women's impact on American history, even if the coin itself was misunderstood. Today, the Susan B. Anthony dollar has found a second life among collectors. With only 4 production years, 1979, 1980, 1981, and a short revival in 1999, it's a compact collectible series. Most people overlook them and change, but coin hunters know that checking every 1979 dollar, especially those from Philadelphia and San Francisco, can reveal a surprising payday. So next time you come across a Susan B. Anthony dollar, don't dismiss it as pocket change. Look closely at the date, the rim, the mint mark, and the surfaces. The difference between a common coin and a 4-figure rarity can be just a fraction of a millimeter or a faint line in the mint mark. Every one of these coins tells a story of a bold idea, a national misunderstanding, and a quiet redemption decades later. The Susan B. Anthony dollar reminds us that even the most overlooked things in history can become valuable when time and curiosity give them a second chance. 2007 George Washington Presidential Dollar. This coin is more than a dollar piece. It's a symbol of America's beginning and the legacy of its first president. Some special errors and varieties of this coin have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars. By the end of this video, you'll know what to look for, how to check its value, and why collectors still chase this modern coin. Let's get started. The George Washington Presidential Dollar was released in 2007, marking the start of a 4-coin-per-year program that honored all U.S. presidents in order of service. It was produced at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The Philadelphia mint coins carry the P mint mark, the Denver mint coins have a D, and San Francisco produced the proof coins with the S mint mark. The obverse features a strong portrait of George Washington, designed by sculptor Joseph Mena, showing him facing forward with a serious expression. Around the rim are the inscriptions, George Washington, First President, and 1789 to 1797, representing his years in office. The reverse was designed by Don Everhart and shows the Statue of Liberty with the words, United States of America, and the denomination, $1. The edge of the coin carries the date, mint mark, and the mottos, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum. The coin is made of a manganese brass composition, giving it a golden tone similar to the Sacagawea dollar. It weighs 8.1 grams and has a diameter of 26.5 millimeters. It was created to circulate widely, but most people kept them as collectibles. Now, let's talk about the part that makes this coin famous, the missing edge lettering error. In early 2007, the U.S. Mint introduced a new technique for placing inscriptions on the edge instead of the front or back. But during production, some coins skipped the edge lettering process completely. These godless dollars, as they were nicknamed, lack the motto, In God We Trust, and the date on the edge. When collectors discovered this error, the coin made national headlines. The missing edge lettering version of the 2007 P. George Washington dollar became one of the most popular modern errors in U.S. coin history. Depending on the condition, these error coins can sell for $150 to $1,500, with top-graded examples certified by PCGS or NGC bringing the highest prices. There are other errors as well. Some coins show doubled edge lettering, where the words appear twice, slightly offset. Others have inverted lettering, meaning the edge text runs in the opposite direction. These are rarer than the missing edge version and can sell between $500 and $2,000 based on grade. The regular issue coin, without errors, is common. In circulated condition, it's worth face value, $1. In uncirculated condition, It typically ranges from $2 to $5. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint are worth a bit more, about $6 to $10 depending on quality. If you want to check whether you have an error, look closely at the edge. You should see the words, "In God We Trust," "E Pluribus Unum," the year 2007, and the mint mark. If any of that is missing or appears doubled, you may have a valuable variety. Collectors appreciate this coin for what it represents. George Washington was the leader who set the foundation for the presidency and the nation. He refused to become king, chose to step down after 2 terms, and established the principle of peaceful transfer of power. His image on the first presidential dollar sets the tone for the entire series that followed. From a design point of view, the combination of Washington's bold portrait and the Statue of Liberty creates a link between leadership and liberty. The golden finish gives it a rich appearance, and the inscriptions along the edge make it stand out from all previous U.S. coin designs. The presidential $1 coin program continued from 2007 to 2016, honoring each president in chronological order up to Ronald Reagan. But it all began with this coin. The George Washington issue remains the most recognized and historically significant of them all. In terms of collecting strategy, focus on finding high-grade mint state examples, especially those certified MS-67 or MS-68 by NGC or PCGS. These coins often have sharp details, full luster, and no visible scratches. They can sell for $100 or more. You can also look for complete sets that include both P and D mint marks, plus the proof version. Collectors like to store them in official presidential dollar albums or plastic holders to protect the golden color. If you store them long-term, avoid PVC flips, which can damage the surface over time. The edge lettering process makes these coins unique. Each coin passes through a separate machine after striking, where the edge inscriptions are applied. That's where most of the famous errors occurred. Because this process was new in 2007, the George Washington dollar has the highest number of missing and doubled edge errors in the series. One more interesting fact. When the first rolls of these coins were released in February 2007, the U.S. Mint underestimated how many people would want them. Banks ran out fast, and the public response surprised officials. Collectors were lined up across the country, eager to get the first coins in the series. Even today, unopened U.S. Mint rolls of the 2007 P or D George Washington dollar remain collectible. A sealed roll of 25 coins can bring $40 to $60, depending on condition and demand. Proof sets containing this coin also stay popular among modern collectors. So, how can you identify a valuable one? Start with the edge. Use a magnifier to inspect the lettering. If it's missing, doubled, or upside down, you've got something worth serious money. Then check for any mint luster and sharp detail. The stronger the strike, the higher the grade. Now, let's look at market movement. Over the last decade, prices for the missing edge lettering error have remained strong. Early excitement drove prices sky high, and although they stabilized, demand is still solid. High-grade examples remain sought after by collectors and error specialists. To sum it all up, the 2007 George Washington presidential dollar is more than just another coin. It marked the start of a national series, introduced a bold new design, and created one of the most famous mint errors of the 21st century. If you own one, check it carefully. You might have a rare variety worth hundreds. Tell me in the comments if you've ever found a George Washington presidential dollar in your change or collection. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more rare coin discoveries. Next up, we're looking at the 1985 P. Kennedy half dollar. This coin may seem ordinary, but there are details, minting quirks, and condition factors that make it worth examining closely. Some examples in high grade or with unique errors have sold for hundreds, even thousands. Let's get started. The 1985 P. Kennedy half dollar was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. It's part of the long-running series that began in 1964. honoring President John F. Kennedy after his assassination in 1963. By 1985, the coin had already become a collector favorite, though it was no longer widely used in daily transactions. The obverse design, created by Gilroy Roberts, features a portrait of President Kennedy facing left. You'll notice the word Liberty curving along the top edge, with In God We Trust below the chin and the date 1985 at the bottom. The mint mark P appears just below Kennedy's neck. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, displays the presidential seal. It shows an eagle holding arrows and an olive branch, with a shield on its chest, surrounded by 50 stars representing the states. The 1985 half dollar is made of a copper-nickel-clad composition. It has an outer layer of copper and nickel bonded to a pure copper core. It weighs 11.34 grams and has a diameter of 30.6 millimeters. The edge is reeded. Unlike the earlier silver versions, this one contains no silver, which is why its base metal value is low. Now, let's talk about rarity. The Philadelphia Mint produced around 20.2 million of these coins. That's not rare by mintage numbers, but high-quality examples with sharp strikes and strong luster are much harder to find. Most coins from this year were made for circulation and saw heavy use, which means scratches, nicks, and dull surfaces are common. In circulated condition, the 1985 P half dollar is worth face value, 50 cents. In uncirculated condition, it usually sells for $2 to $5. However, collectors look for coins in top grades, especially MS66 and higher, certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Those high-end coins can sell for $75 to $300, depending on eye appeal and luster. The record auction price for a 1985 P Kennedy half dollar in MS67 grade is over $1,000. Another factor that affects value is strike quality. Philadelphia coins from the mid-1980s often show weak details in Kennedy's hair and on the eagle's feathers. A coin with a full, sharp strike is worth more. Proof-like or satin finish examples are especially desirable. You should also check for mint errors. While not common, some 1985 P halves were struck off-center or on defective planchets. There are also examples with die cracks, clipped planchets, or double die features. An off-center strike showing about 10 to 20% of the missing design can sell from $100 to $300, depending on condition. Double die obverses, where letters or parts of Kennedy's profile show doubling, can fetch even more if clearly visible. When checking your coin, use a magnifier and good lighting. Look at the lettering, date, and mint mark. Doubling or distortions might mean you found something special. Also inspect the edge for any flattening or copper exposure, which affects condition. Collector demand for the 1985 P is steady, because it's part of the complete Kennedy series. Many collectors try to assemble full date and mint sets, from 1964 to the present. That keeps prices stable for higher grades. If you want to add one to your collection, aim for uncirculated examples with bright luster and minimal marks. Store your coin in a capsule or 2x2 holder to protect the surface. The clad composition can tone slightly over time, so keep it away from moisture and heat. Even though it's not a silver coin, the 1985 P half dollar represents an important era. By this time, Kennedy halves were struck mostly for collectors. Fewer people used them in circulation, but the design remained popular as a tribute to an admired president. For comparison, the 1985 D Kennedy half dollar from Denver had a mintage of about 19.8 million. Values for that one are similar, but the Philadelphia issue is slightly more common in circulated grades and a bit scarcer in higher mint state condition. If you collect Kennedy halves, the 1985 P fits nicely as a mid-1980s piece, showing the transition from heavy use to collector-driven production. It bridges the gap between the early silver issues and the later modern releases. Let's talk about market trends. Over the past decade, clad Kennedy halves from the 1970s and 1980s have grown in collector interest. More people are searching for high-grade examples, and population reports from grading services show that top-tier pieces are still rare. For example, out of millions struck, only a few hundred have graded MS67 or higher. That scarcity and high condition drives the price up. If you want to check if your 1985P is uncirculated, look for full mint luster with no wear on Kennedy's cheek, hair, or jawline. Circulated coins will show dullness and small flat spots on those areas. To wrap it up, the 1985P Kennedy half dollar might not grab attention for silver content, but it has its own appeal. It honors one of America's most beloved presidents, features a strong classic design, and holds solid collector value in top grades and era varieties. Take a close look at yours. If it's clean, sharply struck, and shows no wear, it could be worth much more than 50 cents. Tell me in the comments if you found a 1985 Kennedy half dollar in your collection. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more rare coin discoveries. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about the 1993 P Kennedy half dollar, a coin that many people overlook, but one that collectors know can hold surprising value in the right condition. Some pristine examples and rare errors have sold for hundreds of dollars. By the end of this video, you'll know how to spot the valuable ones in your collection. Let's get started. The 1993 P Kennedy half dollar was minted in Philadelphia. It's part of the long-running Kennedy series that started in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy. By the early 1990s, these coins were mostly struck for circulation and collectors, not everyday use. Most Americans rarely saw them in pocket change, which is why high-quality examples survive today. The design on this coin is the same as earlier issues. The obverse, created by Gilroy Roberts, features the left-facing portrait of President Kennedy. Around it, you'll see the word Liberty curving across the top, with "In God We Trust" below his chin, and the date 1993 at the bottom. The mint mark P sits just above the date, showing that it was made in Philadelphia. The reverse design by Frank Gasparo displays the presidential seal, with an eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch. 50 stars circle the eagle, representing the states, along with the words United States of America and half dollar. The 1993 P Kennedy half dollar is made from a copper nickel-clad composition, just like most modern halves. It has an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. It weighs 11.34 grams and measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter. Now, let's talk about rarity and value. The Philadelphia Mint struck around 15.5 million of these coins, which makes it common in circulated condition. However, the key lies in grade and condition. Most circulated coins are worth only face value, 50 cents. But when you find a 1993 P in uncirculated or mint state condition, the value jumps. Uncirculated examples usually sell for $2 to $5. In high mint state grades, especially MS66 or higher, prices can rise fast. A certified MS67 example can sell between $150 and $300, and in rare cases, top-quality pieces have reached over $500 at auction. The Philadelphia Mint coins from this period often show weaker strikes, especially on Kennedy's hair and the eagle's feathers. That's why collectors pay attention to sharpness and detail. A fully struck coin with strong luster and clean surfaces stands out from the rest. You should also check for mint errors and varieties. A few known examples include die cracks, double strikes, and off-center errors. These errors are not common, but can bring $100 or more depending on visibility and eye appeal. There are also examples with partial collars, where the edge shows an unusual rim thickness, and planchet flaws that add value. When checking your coin, use good lighting and a magnifier. Focus on Kennedy's hairlines, lettering, and the date. Look for doubling or signs of extra metal near the rim. Even small die breaks or misaligned strikes can make your coin more desirable. If you're building a collection, the 1993 P is a solid addition. because it's part of a transitional era in the Kennedy series. It represents the early 1990s production quality, before the mint shifted to making halves mainly for collectors in later years. Starting in 2002, half dollars were no longer released for general circulation, so coins like the 1993p still come from a time when circulation issues were made in higher numbers. Proof versions were also struck in 1993 at the San Francisco Mint, with the S mint mark. Those coins have mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs. While the 1993p is a business strike, high-end uncirculated pieces can look nearly proof-like when properly preserved. Condition is everything with this coin. To grade it yourself, check the high points of Kennedy's cheek, jawline, and hair. If you see flatness or wear, it's circulated. If the luster is strong and no details are missing, it's uncirculated. Even slight handling marks can drop the grade, so handle your coin by the edges only. To store your 1993p half dollar, use a coin flip, plastic capsule, or holder that protects it from air and moisture. The copper-nickel surface can develop dull spots or tone if exposed for long periods. Keeping it in a stable, dry environment will preserve its shine and value. Collectors like this coin because it's affordable, easy to find, and part of a continuous American design series. Completing a full Kennedy set, from 1964 to the 1990s, gives a clear look at how minting quality and materials changed over the decades. Let's talk about market trends. Over the last several years, clad Kennedy halves from the 1980s and 1990s have gained quiet attention. Collectors who focus on high-grade modern coins are paying more for well-preserved examples. Registry sets have pushed up demand for top-graded pieces, making MS-67 and MS-68 coins much harder to find and more valuable. For example, population reports show that only a small number of 1993p halves have achieved MS-67 certification. That's out of millions minted. The scarcity of perfect coins is what drives prices into the hundreds. There's also a growing interest in searching original U.S. mint sets from 1993. These sets contain coins straight from the mint with no circulation wear. Sometimes they hold coins with exceptional luster or sharp strikes that can grade high if submitted to certification services. Even though the 1993p Kennedy half dollar has no silver content, it still connects deeply with American history. It honors a president whose legacy continues to inspire. The design has remained nearly unchanged for 6 decades, which makes it one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. history. Take a closer look at yours. You might be holding a coin worth far more than 50 cents. Tell me in the comments if you've ever found a 1993 Kennedy half dollar in your collection. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more rare coin discoveries. Next up, we're looking at a coin that seems ordinary, but can surprise collectors with serious value. The 1974 Kennedy half dollar might look common, but some examples have sold for more than $1,000 because of rare varieties and high-grade condition. Stay with me, because if you have this coin, you might be holding a hidden treasure in your hand. Before we begin, if you're new here, subscribe and support the Hidden Gold Hunter channel. I bring you stories, prices, and secrets from the world of coins that you can actually use to find real value in your collection. Now, let's talk about the 1974 Kennedy half dollar. This coin was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia version has no mint mark. The Denver one shows a D under Kennedy's neck, and the San Francisco version, marked with an S, was made only for collectors as a proof coin. Over 201 million were made in Philadelphia, 79 million in Denver, and about 2.6 million proofs in San Francisco. The composition is copper-nickel clad, which means no silver was used for circulation coins after 1970. Still, these coins hold collector interest because of their history, design, and specific era varieties. The Kennedy half dollar was first issued in 1964 after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It replaced the Franklin half dollar and became an instant symbol of national respect and memory. By 1974, the design had already become a permanent part of American coinage. The obverse was designed by Gilroy Roberts, showing a left-facing portrait of President Kennedy with the words "Liberty" around the rim and "In God We Trust" under the chin. The date 1974 appears below. The reverse, created by Frank Gasparo, displays the presidential seal, with an eagle holding arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by 50 stars and the inscriptions, United States of America and $50. Even though this coin is common, condition and details make all the difference. Most circulated examples are only worth face value, 50 cents, but uncirculated coins can bring several dollars. In mint state 63 to 65, the price is around $3 to $10. In MS 66, values rise to $50 or even $150. The real jump happens at MS 67, where prices can exceed $400 and, in some cases, approach $1,000, depending on strike quality and luster. Proof coins from San Francisco with deep cameo contrast are also collectible, typically worth between $5 and $15. One of the most famous and valuable errors for this year is the 1974 D double die obverse. This variety shows clear doubling on the letters "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Under magnification, the doubling looks like a shadow or split line in the letters. Lighter doubling examples sell for around $40 to $80, while strong, well-struck examples graded MS 65 or better can reach between $400 and $1,000. This variety remains one of the most recognized Kennedy half-dollar errors and is actively searched for by collectors. If you want to check your 1974 halves, look at Kennedy's cheek and jawline first. These are the high points that wear down quickly. A coin with smooth, undamaged surfaces and strong luster stands out. On the reverse, inspect the eagle's feathers and the area above the shield. A coin with a sharp strike and no contact marks is what grading companies like PCGS and NGC reward with higher grades. Even if your coin is not a double die, the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar is still worth keeping in mint condition. Collectors often build complete sets from 1964 onward, covering every mint mark and major variety. High-quality coins from each year add strong visual appeal to a collection, and the 1974 D double die is one of the key finds in that lineup. This coin also marks an important time in U.S. coin history. It represents the complete shift away from silver coinage to copper-nickel. It tells the story of how the U.S. Mint adapted to metal shortages and rising silver prices. The Kennedy half-dollar continued to circulate less and less after the 1970s, as people began to keep them instead of spending them. Many 1974 coins sat untouched for decades in rolls and bags, which is why high-grade examples can still appear today. So if you have a 1974 Kennedy half-dollar, take a closer look. Check for the D mint mark, look for doubling in the lettering, and examine the surfaces for mint luster. Even one small detail can mean a big jump in value. These coins may not contain silver, but they carry both historical and collector importance. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to Hidden Gold Hunter. Turn on notifications so you never miss another rare coin story. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story turns into real gold in your pocket. Thanks for watching.